The day Grak died, the whole tribe showed up to his cave. Not to mourn him. They showed up because they felt sorry for him. Grak had lived in the same tiny cave for 40 years. He wore the same torn fur coat, held together with a vine, for as long as anyone could remember. He never threw a feast. He never bought a bigger club. He never once bragged about anything. When the tribe's elder unrolled Grak's will and began to read it aloud, the valley went completely silent. Because Grak, the caveman everyone pitied, had died with 8 million gold coins, and not a single soul in the tribe had any idea. Let's go back to the beginning. Grak was born in the smallest cave on the east side of the valley. No inheritance. No lucky mammoth discovery. No rich parents. His first job, collecting firewood for the tribe elder. 2 coins a day. While the other young cavemen spent their coins on berries and feasts and decorating their clubs with fancy rocks. Grak did something strange. He saved 1 coin every single day, just one. The other cavemen laughed at him. Grak, you work all day for 2 coins and you only spend 1? Grak would just nod. I only need 1. Here's the thing about Grak's 1 coin a day. It wasn't just sitting in a hole somewhere collecting dust. Every time Grak saved up 10 coins, he'd walk to the far end of the valley, where old Mog the berry farmer lived, and buy a small stake in Mog's berry fields. Not the whole field, just a tiny piece of it. In exchange, every harvest season, Grak got a cut of the berries sold. Not much at first, a few coins extra per season. But Grak didn't spend those either. He took those coins straight back to Mog and bought a slightly bigger stake. The tribe never saw this happening. Why would they? Grak looked exactly the same as always. Same torn furs, same tiny cave, same single berry for lunch. But underneath that torn fur, Grak owned pieces of 17 different berry farms by the time he was 40. Now, while Grak was quietly doing this every year for decades, the rest of the tribe was living very differently. Thunk upgraded his cave 3 times. Each upgrade cost him everything he'd saved. Brog bought a pet saber-tooth. Impressive for 1 season. Impossible to feed for 10. Mira spent every extra coin on decorating her club with rare stones. The stones went out of fashion. The coins never came back. Every single one of them earned more than Grak at some point in their lives. Every single one of them looked richer than Grak at every point in their lives. And every single one of them reached old age with empty coin pouches and full regrets. Meanwhile, Grak's berry farm stakes had been compounding quietly in the background, like a snowball rolling down a hill that nobody was watching. Here's where it gets hard to believe. But this is real. In the first 10 years, Grak's coins barely moved. A few hundred extra. Nothing dramatic. In the next 10 years, those hundreds became thousands. In the decade after that, the thousands multiplied faster than anyone could count. Because that's what happens when money grows on top of money that grew on top of money. The tribe only ever saw the pile Grak was adding to. They never saw the pile itself was building. That's the trick. That's the thing nobody explains. It doesn't feel like anything is happening for a very long time. And then, almost overnight, it feels like everything is happening at once. By the time Grak was 60, his berry farm stakes were producing more coins every season than he had earned in his entire first decade of working. He hadn't cleaned firewood in 20 years. But he never told anyone. He just kept wearing the torn furs. He kept eating 1 berry for lunch. He kept living in the small cave. Because Grak had learned something the rest of the tribe never figured out. Wealth is not what people can see. Wealth is what's working while nobody's looking. When the tribe elder unrolled Grak's will on the day he died, he read out a number that made no sense to anyone standing there. 8 million gold coins, distributed between the tribe's children who had no food, the valley's small school that was falling apart, and the medicine hut that could never afford enough herbs. Grak had quietly decided, decades earlier, that he didn't need any of it. He just kept growing it, because growing it was the point. The tribe stood there in silence outside his tiny cave, staring at the torn fur coat hanging on the wall, the one vine holding it together, the single berry bowl on the floor, and not one of them could explain how they'd missed it. So what actually happened here? Let's break it down simply. Grak followed 3 rules his entire life and never broke them once. Rule 1: spend less than you earn. Always. No exceptions. Not less than you earn most of the time. Every single time. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the only money that can ever work for you. Rule 2: put every saved coin somewhere it grows without you. Greg didn't just save, he invested. There's a difference. Saved coins sit still. Invested coins make more coins. Those coins make more coins. That process, left alone, undisturbed for long enough, becomes something that looks like magic but is actually just math. Rule 3: never let people's opinions about your lifestyle cost you your future. This is the hardest one, because the tribe saw Grak's torn furs and felt sorry for him. And Grak could have fixed that. He could have bought new furs anytime he wanted. He had the coins, but he chose not to care what the tribe thought. That choice, compounded over 40 years, was worth millions. Now here's the question I want you to sit with. Is there a Grak in your tribe? Someone quiet, someone who doesn't talk about money, someone whose lifestyle makes you feel sorry for them. Because if there is, they might be the richest caveman in the valley. And you'd never know. If this story hit different for you, drop a comment below. Tell me, would you have guessed Grak was the richest? And if you want to see what happens when a caveman tries to copy Grak's strategy starting from zero, share it with someone who's still being a Thorg. They need this more than they know. Subscribe too, because next time we're following a caveman who starts with literally 0 coins and builds an empire from scratch. You don't want to miss how that one ends. That's all for today. Go be a Grak. See you in the next one.